Good first performance for us. Probably just most pleased with just our ability to sustain effort and not turn the ball over too much in a game like that. We really took care of the ball. I thought defensively we were very aggressive and disruptive at times, which was good to see. And we got to play a lot of guys, which is what we hope to continue to do. And that was good as well. So good first time out. Watch the film and learn from it. So questions for me.
Coach, before seeing the film, what was your evaluation of the freshmen today?
Oh, I thought they did well. Zach made some shots. Chase obviously had a couple finishes at the rim, some really good passes. I thought Ace found his way in the game and did some nice things. DT, his length was a factor out there, and so I was excited by that. And even Blake getting in late was good for us. So great first game for those guys to get their feet wet, and they got to play a good amount of minutes really. So this will be really good for us to show them film from.
The guard play defensively, just what was your assessment of that tonight?
I thought it was good. Now they're an inside team, so that's where when we weren't playing well early, they got us in foul trouble and they were hurting us inside a little bit. We were a little undisciplined on some things, and but our defense got better the longer the game went, and I thought there was a wearing effect. I thought we did a good job. Multiple guys picking up full court and being disruptive defensively, so that was good for us.
Seemed in the second half you had a lot of guys cutting to the basket, people finding each other. But you feel pretty good about this team as a passing team?
We're improving. I would tell you early in the year we were not, but we've really improved in the last 2 weeks. Some of it is just you get more comfortable with each other, you get more comfortable with the offense. There's going to be stops and starts. Like they disrupted us a little bit early. I don't think we had great flow early offensively. And we did a much better job of just the longer the game went of wearing into the game and just playing more comfortably and better. But we need a lot of experiences. We just need a lot of different experiences because we have so many new players. But this was a good one for us to build some confidence.
I think you said something about you have your practice plan and you only get through so much of it.
Yeah.
I mean, are you 50%, 60% to where you want to be, or kind of how?
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, you're almost never satisfied, right? And I think we're doing reasonably well right now for this time of year. I think we've made great strides in the last week. We had fall break Monday, Tuesday, and so we went 2-a-days, and really we went hard Wednesday and even did some things Thursday. So I mean, we need to practice. We just need to keep drilling things and getting better and obviously practicing different things. So, but I'm pleased. Attitudes have been great. Guys are working. RJ tweaked an ankle, which we need to get him healthy, obviously. But I'm pleased with where we are so far.
You mentioned the tweaked ankles. That's something you just held him out for the game, just out of
second half.
caution.
Yeah, we talked about it, and he just said, I don't know that I feel comfortable, coach. And I said, well, we're not going to put you back in then. There's no need to do that here. I think he's like everybody, right? He wants to play. It is hard early in the year. Your first 10 games, you can see anxiety and especially if you're not a guy who's experienced. You just want, RJ wants to please. He wants to do well. And he was playing well. But all the guys, even our transfers, they're, I wrote down 85 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour, and I said, it's not going to be hard for you to get to 85. Your heart's going to beat out of your chest. We got to calm down and make sure that we're playing with some poise and some thought. And that's early in the year, that's common.
Is Carter Welling, how far along is he? He missed a bunch of the summer.
Yeah, I think he's improving a lot every day because he just hasn't done very much, right? And so he got some reps. He didn't even get reps the full last week. I think he got 2 days of the summer, the last 2 days of the summer, and then, in the middle of that, the guy got married, and he's had a lot going on this summer, and so he just needs basketball practice every day for a couple months to get his legs under him and to understand the system. And we're good because we have Nick and RJ and Carter. We have 3 experienced older players that get to compete against each other, and that's good for them. But there's nothing that takes the place of like game experience. You just need game reps to where you're comfortable and you trust yourself and you're confident and you know how to really score within the offense or make reads. And today was a good first day for it.
How important is it for you as a coach to have that game experience as well, figuring out what lineups gel together and figuring all that out?
No, 100%. And you know, I think that's the one thing that's been, I don't know if frustrating is the right word, challenging is probably a better word, is there's been, you know, pockets of good play from a lot of different players, and there's also been some inconsistency. And so even when a couple times I think this 5 might be who we want to lean on, and then you go to practice and they lose that day, right? And then a couple of them don't play very well, and you're like, man, right when I thought he was going to be one of our guys, you know, but that's because we have some competitive depth. Our freshmen are higher level players than some of the freshmen we've had in the past. They're just more, you know, physically ready. And as much as anything, that gives them a head start. And then if they make a play or two and build a little confidence, then they're ready to go. And you saw some of that tonight.
And is that just something that as a coach you're going to have to evaluate
Yeah, I
in
think,
game?
yes, I do. I think that's, you know, that's one of the challenges is I don't know that we've got 5 guys that we feel like these guys consistently every day. Like Butta was terrible in our scrimmage on Saturday. I mean, he was terrible. And didn't make a shot and, you know, turned it over a few times, just wasn't in a good place. And then all of a sudden he comes off the bench today and he knocks down a couple big threes in the half to get us going and plays really well. Defensively, he's in the right spot a couple of different times to be disruptive. I thought he was excellent. So, you know, that's a little bit of the challenge. But that's also one of the strengths of our team is we can roll another guy in and he can get hot. He can make plays. So,
I guess how consistent has Chase Thompson been? Obviously, he's the guy you turn to start the second half.
Yeah, I think he's done very well for a young player. You know, he's still, you can see, you know, the thoughts rolling in his head. He wants to do the right thing, and sometimes he's worried about that instead of just making a play. Like, just go trust yourself and make a play. Like, you're a good player. We believe in you. Like, go do your thing. But he also, you know, wants to do what's right and is trying to learn and soak it all in. And, you know, he's battling against some bigger guys every day. But I think he's done very well.
Do you feel like this exhibition this year specifically is going to be more of a learning tool for you and your staff in comparison to years past because of the roster turnover?
Yes, probably. You know, every exhibition, you're kind of going into it with different goals. You know, depending on your team and if things go well, and then you know, I mean, there are times if things don't go well as a coach, you can kind of keep it going not well, right? You can even do that in practice. You can make it hard on the guys for them to be successful, put a little pressure on them, and they need to go through some of those kinds of things. Today, we needed to feel good about ourselves. We needed to see the ball go in. We needed to know that what we're doing is working. The guys needed to see that rotating guys in and out is good for us, and we can keep applying defensive pressure. We can play, you know, in the open floor and attack, and you know, you may only play 18 minutes, but you're going to be tired. And so we just needed that kind of day for us to, you know, every time you're going against yourself, it's hard to sustain. Today we did a good job.
Dylan mentioned game speed is a big talking point for the younger players. What's it like to have 2 fifth-year guards and him, or fourth-year guard and Dylan, fifth-year guard and JP, to kind of explain those concepts in real time to the younger guys?
Just to understand, they've seen it before. You know, walk into a place, they should be good. Very helpful. You know, I think on the floor they can be chirping in those guys' ears about, you know, reminding Zach of different things, and you know, press attack, and you know, maybe here on a spot, or maybe there's a defensive mistake. They can talk to him about it at the free throw line or something like that. I think that's really important, and certainly Dylan is smart enough to do all those things.
RJ had such a smile on his face singing the alma mater again.
Yeah. How
great was it to just see him out on the Clemson field?
Yeah, I mean, the guy was bouncing around this morning at shoot around, just excited. I mean, he just, you know, and then obviously he played very well in the first half. We needed him, and he's just doing his thing, right? He's a bouncy guy, and he's just such a positive person. You know, it's funny, we were doing roommates on the road a little bit as we kind of get ready to make a little trip to Charleston. And it's like, man, we want RJ to room with about 3 different people, right? It's like we just love him, his infectious personality with our players. He's really good for our younger players, and he's been good for our older guys too. Even Nick and Carter, he can talk to them about how we do things, and his excitement just being back. You see it every day.
Because you guys got out rebounded in the first half.
Yeah.
An idea what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think our guards did a great job of rebounding down. I'd have to watch the film to see what else there was. Sometimes games like that, it's hard because there was a lot of long possessions by them. Like if they didn't turn it over early in the possession, the shot clock went down late, and so sometimes there's some tougher shots, longer, crazy shots that are going to sometimes lead to longer, crazy rebounds. They're not always great attempts, and so sometimes that happens. And I think that did happen a couple times as well.
So you feel pretty good about this team as a rebounding team?
I don't know. It's to be determined. I hope that we're going to be that, but last year's team was not quite as good as we've been in some years previous, but we were more disruptive. Sometimes that happens too because you can get a little more spread out and you're not quite as connected together as if you're maybe a little more pack line defensive team, which we were maybe with PJ a few times.
Do things change from a principal perspective with defensive rebounding, not having Chase, who's kind of a really good defensive rebounding guard that's bigger, or is it still?
Yeah, it's funny. We were always on Chase to continue to do more. I just think we've got to make sure that we get everybody involved. I think it's as much as that as anything is getting everybody involved. Jake Willeen's got to get involved as a big three-man for us. And then our guards, Dylan's got to grab a couple. I think those are when you have really good defensive teams is when your guards are involved.
I guess in terms of Zach Foster, how under control has he been through the
Yeah,
summer?
same thing. Certain days he looks phenomenal. I thought he played very well today. He only had one turnover, made a couple shots, which he certainly can do. There's just a lot for a young guard like that. Like you can, there was a couple times tonight I called him over, and there's once I know he knew exactly what he did wrong defensively on a crackdown. But he also, like he took one wild one tonight that was, probably that's okay in high school, but like here in this game, I can see why you think that's okay, but in a real, ACC contest where every possession is going to matter, that's probably not the best shot. But we're also trying to give some of those guys the freedom because we want him to make plays. We have confidence in him. He's a good player, and we want him to be aggressive. We don't want to just pull the reins on him all the time. He's been a little up and down at times, but he's been up. He's been really good, and I think you saw some of that tonight. He's got another gear, and he's a big guard. Make a shot. When his decision making and he plays with strength and leverage offensively, he's hard to handle. It's good.
I guess how serious is Trent's injury?
Yeah, sprained it a couple days ago. Pretty significant sprain. I really hate it for him because this would have been a perfect game for him to get double-figure minutes. Not sure when he'll be ready. Don't know how long it'll take. High ankle sprain.
Was he a guy that could potentially contribute, or was he more of a redshirt?
Yeah, no, we're gonna, I think we're gonna play him because you never know. Just like tonight, RJ sprains an ankle, and now all of a sudden you kind of only have two and a half post guys, right? I mean, Chase is a post guy, but he's not a big, strong, back to the basket guy. You want another guy that can give you some fouls and rebounds and defend, and Trent can do that.
Any more questions for Coach?